tell me about Dalvin Cook here. I mean, because you hear about red flags involving him. What can you tell me about some of these red flags, Coach?
We didn't see him. And for us, the guy was a phenomenal guy. Tremendous teammate. Affected guys on his team in a great way every day. Like and I would get on young guys and challenge them in practice, you know, and get on. And all of a sudden, you'd look around. 3 minutes later, he'd have his arm around him. This is what's going on. This is what we do. Challenge his teammates. And there was not a guy who I don't know if I've ever been around a guy who truly loved to work out and knew his body better than he did. I mean, off the field, working, studying film, studying plays, studying blocking schemes, you know. And I'll tell you a quick story about him, which to me defines him.
Okay. First
couple games of the year, everybody said, well, he's not running good. He's missing cuts. And maybe I protected him too much in the two-a-days, trying not to get him hurt. Well, the first game he had 99 yards and 100 and some receiving. He had 200 yards of offense, but he was off. You know, it was a bad game. so people were saying it. And I said, you know, he was being a little impatient with his eyes. And I walked in and I called him in and I said, Dalvin, I said, what can I do to help you? Instead of what, you know, and I said, what can I do to help you feel comfortable and get back in the groove? He sat there about 2 minutes. He never said a word. He looked at me and he said, coach me like I'm a freshman. Now think about it. You're talking about a guy who's going to be the all-time leading rusher and the first team All-American, everything. He says, Coach, go back. And he loves to be coached hard. He loves to be pushed. He loves to be challenged. And he never had a disrespectful moment for me in 3 years. Yes, sir, no, sir, and did everything we ever asked him to do.
But what about that time where you took 2 different team pictures because you didn't know if you were going to have them?
But because the AD made us do that because he had the trial that they put him up for that lasted 15 minutes. We didn't know the result of it. So it would have been embarrassing to do one with him, and then they come up with something until we had to find out the results. We knew what the results going in would be as far as what the truths were, because he's never lied to me. He never, ever has. And they did one with him just in case of the results, which were like 4 or 5 days after the picture. So as a team, you have to do what you had to do because we didn't know the result of what was going to happen. But at the same time, we did because we knew the truth.
Well, so are these questions that are being asked of you when your phone rings from scouts and from coaches?
I'd put it this way. I'd sign him again 100 times. Not because of his production, but because of the person he is.
So then why are we hearing about some of the stuff that he's not?
That's our world, because we got to create doubt. We got to create things that go on. In our world today, kids aren't allowed to make a mistake. Kids aren't allowed to be kids. Think about when you were 18 to 22, if everything was on Twitter or on Facebook or on everything.
Okay. I get your point.
I mean, so my point is we scrutinize these guys. We want to do everything to tear them down in the draft. The draft isn't about building them up. It's about tearing them down and trying to make this perfect. There's no perfect players on the field. There's no perfect people off the field. I mean, there's no things. But is this guy a bad guy? No. He's one of the best guys I've ever coached and one of the easiest guys I've ever coached.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm with Jimbo Fisher here. I'm a Michigan guy, and that third down run in the Orange Bowl, when it looked like the momentum was wearing Mason blue helmet, and he tore it, was about 80 yards. And
71 yards on a counter play. They got a nickel and –
well, I didn't ask you for all the details, but I mean,
best time to run it.
I saw that, and I'm like, this is a top pro running back.
Well, you saw that, but also the first drive you saw about 50 yards rushing. Then the second series, if you remember, we split him out. He gets isolated on the backer. We checked to a takeoff route.
Right.
See, a lot of backs catch the ball underneath. I mean, he went out there and ran a go route like a receiver and caught a 50-yard go route. When you look at him on the field, you tell me a better back in the draft that runs with power inside, can bounce the plays outside, can catch the ball out of the backfield, can split out and catch it, and when he gets in green grass, he doesn't move the sticks. He changes the numbers on the scoreboard. I mean, you got to remember, in the history of the NCAA, he's 6th or 7th, I don't know which it is, the guys that played 3 years, the highest rushing yards in the history of the NCAA. He'd be probably 62 to 64 100-yard rusher if he stayed 4 years in NCAA football.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.